All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the Horn Takes podcast, your very rough around the edges Texas sports talk destination. I'm your host, Sean Redfern. It's Friday Eve, and man, we got one more sleep until Texas baseball. If you watch this show, you listen to this show, you know it's college football and then college baseball for us here at Horn Takes. We'll cover the basketball stuff, but just can't get into it. We've talked about that. We've run that into the ground. We're not going to do it anymore. But today, we'll talk a little bit about those Hardwood Horns. We'll obviously talk a little bit about Texas baseball, our thoughts headed into this season. There's some Texas football stuff to talk about. And then there's some random sports takes. Just some things that I want to address. Just some things I want to talk about. Check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. If you don't like to watch ugly dudes in sunglasses, be live streaming or whatever, you don't have to. You can just listen to ugly dudes in sunglasses talk. And you can do that at a lot of different places. You can go to horntakespodcast.buzzsprout.com, or you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart. We're at all those places. Check us out. Hardwood Horns, 16-8 on the season, 5-6 in the Big 12, which sounds really terrible. I mean, I don't know how many 5-6 teams in their conference are in as decent a shape as Texas is, I think, from a tournament perspective. And I think that just is attributable to how good the Big 12 is at basketball. Since we last talked, Texas blasted West Virginia, who was an early season loss for Texas. Just absolutely blasted them at home, 94-58. We said this was a must-have for Texas. Like we looked at it last week and said there's 8 games left. We feel like they got to win 5 of those games to make it into the tournament. And West Virginia, when you looked at that schedule, definitely one of those games for Texas that you absolutely had to have. It was at home. It was against a not-ranked opponent. Got to get some wins at home if you're Texas. They haven't done that. They're just now 2-4 in Big 12 play at the Moody Center. So there's 7 games to go in the Big 12 regular season for Texas. And right now they're sitting at kind of an average of an 8 seed across all the bracketology out there. 3 home games left. I feel like they got to win them all. They're all winnable. K-State, Okie State, Oklahoma. I mean, you look at their final 7 games, those are easily the most winnable games on the schedule, and they've all got to come to Austin. So I think for Texas to maintain their status, which they sit today as a tournament team, in almost every single bracketology out there, they got to win those 3 games at home. And then on the road, they've got Houston, Kansas, Tech, and Baylor. Really close loss to Houston at the Moody Center earlier this season, a game they could have won. KU is always a tough out. They're definitely a tough out in Lawrence. Tech already came to Austin and put, I think, a double-digit win over Texas earlier this season. And, of course, Baylor, we know, is a very good team. Texas, however, does have a win over Baylor already this year in Big 12 play. The Big 12, y'all, is just a really good back. You know what? I won't even say it's really good because we can't know that yet. I feel like it's really good. It's generally really good. Traditionally pretty good basketball conference. But I think what we can absolutely say about the Big 12 is it is very highly competitive. So either there's a bunch of really good teams in the Big 12, a bunch of mediocre teams in the Big 12, or just a bunch of bad teams in the Big 12. But they're all, every single team is like kind of right there in this, bunched up really tightly when you talk about competitiveness. We said they needed 5 of the last remaining 8 games last week. They needed that West Virginia win. They got it. Now they need 4 of 7. So to get 4 of 7, they're going to have to win one of those games on the road against Houston, Kansas, Tech, or Baylor. And kind of like we've been saying, we said last Thursday, it's hard to see 5 wins out of those last 8. Well, it's equally hard for me to see 4 out of this last 7. I just don't have any faith. I just don't have any faith in the consistency of this team. That being said, they get to start on the road against Houston on Saturday, 12 Central on CBS. You get that win, man, the whole thing changes a little bit. I said it earlier this season. Once they started Big 12 play, what I said earlier in the season was that I feel like this team's just going to keep getting better and better, and I think in some sense they are. But once they started Big 12 play, I was just like, man, this is terrible. Like, they are just not good. And they're not going to get out of this alive. I don't know if they're a tournament team, man. I don't know. I mean, we got 7 games to find out, and we will. You know, I don't know if Texas, if they get on the bubble, I don't know if, obviously depends on how highly you favor the Big 12. And it looks like, people that understand basketball, which I am not one of those guys. I will fully admit I don't know a lot about basketball. But people that do seem to think pretty highly of the Big 12. So you got to think that helps Texas. Got to think they're willing to look at some of the wins they've had in this conference. I don't know. Is Texas a big enough name from a basketball perspective to, edge in over somebody else that maybe deserves it a little more? I don't know. Probably. I mean, I feel like whether they get in the tournament or not, they're not getting past. They're probably not getting past. I mean, they may not even get past round 1. I mean, we've seen better Texas teams than this one go into the tournament and get bounced in the first round. So, you start to think about it from brand perspective. Everybody watches the first 2 games, first 2 rounds of the tournament, right? That's where all the crazy shit happens. The first weekend, everybody's fired up. That's all people do. They skip classes. They skip school. They take off work just to watch that stuff. So I don't think having Texas in it is going to make a big difference there, from a money perspective. I don't know. We'll see. If they're really serious about it, they got to go into Houston Saturday, and get a win. They do that, then I think all bets are off. I think this team definitely can make it into the tournament. But right now, we're going to say, man, 4 of the final 7 games just seems, and 3 of them you got to win at home, where they just haven't been good. It's still a very much an uphill battle, even though today, all the brackets have them pretty much an average around an 8 seed. Texas baseball, last week we said, my God, please just get here, baseball. Well, it's finally freaking here, man. We got one more sleep till college baseball. Man, I will watch any 2 teams play college baseball. Almost like I won't take it that far. I will watch mostly any 2 teams play college baseball. When I was younger, I would literally watch any college football game I could watch. I can't do that anymore. Some of them are just unwatchable. But, man, I don't know. Just something about this time of the year, something about baseball. And I didn't used to always be this way. If you've listened to us in the past, you've probably heard me say I didn't really get that interested in baseball until my son started playing baseball. I played baseball maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years as a kid. I think maybe 12 years old was probably the last time I played baseball, which I regret a lot. I regret it so much that, and I started to feel that way in high school. I almost went out for the baseball team my senior year. I had a really good friend that was a baseball player, pitcher, really good pitcher, and he was coming off of surgery, Tommy John surgery, the summer before, or the summer before. Heard it in the playoffs. And so he would ask me, hey, will you come up here to the field and, just catch some bullpens for me? And I could catch. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll come catch. I'll come hang out. And one day we went out on the field and he was throwing off the mound and he's like, just try to hit these things or whatever. Because I told him, I was kind of interested in playing, thinking about it. And once I got my timing down, which took a minute, but once I got my timing down, and he wasn't throwing, like he was not throwing, full disclosure, the guy was throwing batting practice, just working on his arm, stuff like that. He wasn't like trying to strike me out or no shit like that. But I started popping the ball over the fence, like good popping the ball over the fence. I'm like, man, I think I could do this. I don't know why I decided not to do it. I think ultimately I was just like, man, we just had a very long, actually, it was after that. We had a very long football season. We played till the semifinals. I think I was just kind of wore out. I had gotten recruited to play college football, so I was already ready to go do that. I think that's probably what it was. Anyways, love this time of year. And once my son got this age and started playing, I really, really started to enjoy the game of baseball, just on a different level. I started to understand more about the game, obviously, because I wanted to understand, where he was good, where he wasn't, what could I do to work with him? Baseball is a thinking man's game. A lot of stuff to know. So I kind of immersed myself as much as I could in all of that. And it really sort of gave me a different perspective of baseball. So I love baseball. I'm excited for some college baseball. I will be skipping work. I'll be skipping stuff like now. Forget March Madness. I'm skipping stuff for like the beginning of baseball, like some of these early big series that may happen, some of these little weekend tournament type things that happen. That's where you'll catch us, me, missing work and things of that nature. Sad part, it's not sad. The crazy part is my son's a senior, so this is the last year in baseball, and so we'll be following them around a lot here the next few weeks to various places for their tournaments and things like that to start off the season. So I'm going to miss some baseball. But that's okay. We won't get this time back with our son, so we're excited. But I'm like College World Series, that's my March Madness. So I think y'all get it now. Y'all understand. You understand where I'm coming from. I love baseball so much, and college baseball so much, and Texas baseball specifically so much that I just had to double up on streaming service so I could get the Longhorn Network. I love Hulu, but they do not have the Longhorn Network. I've never used Sling before, but I will now. Will tomorrow, will this weekend. So I can watch Longhorn Network, and that's where 34 of the 36 Texas home games this year are going to be televised. The reason I couldn't just go to Sling and I had to keep Hulu is because there's specific channels on Hulu that my wife likes. She's got her shows, her things she likes as well that aren't on Sling. So I got to carry another subscription, another $50 a month through baseball season. It's all right. It's still cheaper than DirecTV. My gosh. If you're still on DirecTV, like, please check out streaming stuff. Like, if you have decent internet and you're on DirecTV, please do yourself a favor and drop your phone that you never use, your landline thing that they've got you bundled up for whatever reason. We did this for years. We had this fucking phone. We literally never answered it. The ringer has been off. The ringer was off on this phone for 8 years, 7 years. We finally just told them we don't want it anymore. So do yourself a favor, check out the pricing. And I don't get paid by Sling or Hulu. I'm just trying to do a nice thing for you folks out there that may still be severely overpaying to watch sports games. Anyway, back to Texas baseball. Really high expectations for this team going into 2024. You look at last season, they were one game away from their third College World Series appearance in as many seasons. They're fourth in the last 5 seasons. So, David Pierce, with the exception of, 2021, hasn't had a lot of success at the College World Series. But he's got the team there a bunch, and I think there's something to be said for that. If it was that easy, a lot of teams would do that, and a lot of teams do not consistently wind up in Omaha. I think you look at the rankings, they're ranked anywhere between sort of 8th, 16th in the various polls. You got D1 baseball, you got Perfect Game. I'm sure there's some other ones I'm missing. They sort of rank these guys, and they're 8th to 16th. I think they're 16th in D1 baseball, and I don't know how I would rank the rankings, the rankers. A 16th just seems really low to me for this team. I mean, they lost some people off of that team, but they didn't really lose a lot. They didn't lose. I mean, they lost their ace, so that's obviously something to replace. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a negative thing necessarily, but I don't think it necessarily has to be either. 16 just seems, for a team that almost made it to the College World Series, 16 just seems kind of low. I don't know. We'll see. They've got a good mix of returning experience. Got a lot of guys back off that team last year. And they have a lot of really good young talent. Lots of good talent, arm-wise. One thing Pierce did last season, or before last season, was really hit the portal hard for arms. And a lot of those arms didn't really work out. And this year, he didn't really hit the portal hard at all for anything. Brought in a really nice freshman class. A lot of kids that a lot of folks thought would, somehow wind up at, getting drafted high enough to just skip out on college altogether. So there's a lot of good talent in that freshman class, both arm-wise and guys that can play out in the field and step up to the plate and bat. So I'm excited, man. I think they've got a potential to have a very, very good starting rotation. In the pitching staff, you got LBJ, who, man, as the season went on last year, just got better and better and better. And by the time they're in the tournament, man, he was just really tough to hit. And you got to think, LBJ is a guy that from the second you saw him pitch at Texas, you knew the physical ability was just, he has elite physical. People throw that word out a lot, elite. And a lot of times they just like to say cool adjectives. He has elite physical tools as a pitcher. He's got a mid-90s fastball. He's got a sinker that just fucking dies at the plate, that it's also going 90 miles an hour. He throws a very nice breaking pitch. We've always said on this show that anything that's going on with LeBaron Johnson Jr. is really in his head, and that's nothing against him. It's hard. It is a mind fuck to go be a pitcher, I'm sure. I've never been a pitcher in Division I baseball. I can certainly imagine it's just not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of talented guys that just can't figure out how to do it right. They can't do it. They can't be consistent. And they wash out at Division I schools, and they're talented as hell. Some of them have elite talent. He's gotten better at that. He's gotten better, and that's what you would expect. That's what you're hoping for, is that you can bring in these talented guys and teach them how to do what you want them to do. And so he's gotten a lot better at the mental side of pitching, I think, especially last season. I'm really interested to see with another year under his belt, like what he looks like on the mound this year. Then you got Tanner Witt. We've talked Tanner Witt so much. Guy as a freshman was big off the mound in a closing type role or a relief type role. You know, came into the College World Series in an elimination game against a really, really good Tennessee team and pitched 4 or 5 innings against that group and basically just shut them down. Give Texas offense time enough to get it going to eliminate Tennessee. And I think that was Tennessee's first College World Series in a gazillion years. We met a lot of really cool Tennessee fans at that game, by the way. We were there. Really good time. And then he's penciled in as a starter his sophomore season and warming up before a game there in Arlington for the whatever the hell it is, I don't know what it's called, the baseball classic of Arlington, Texas or something. He blows out his daggum elbow. So he spends all, he's out that season, obviously. He comes back last season, doesn't get to pitch until very late in the season. And we're talking, I don't think he pitched until the Big 12 tournament. May have had one little outing before that, but I'm pretty sure his first start was the Big 12 sometime in the Big 12 tournament. And rightfully so, he just, he probably doesn't trust that elbow. He's been out of this for a year mentally. Like you could tell it was there, like the physicalness. Again, Tanner Witt's another one of those guys with like elite type stuff. But he hadn't pitched in over a year. So there were some good times, some bad times with that. Can Tanner Witt, I think it's a huge question for this Texas team, especially when you're talking about the rotation. Can Tanner Witt return to his old form? Like if that dude gets his confidence back that he had as a freshman, man, you got 2 really, really solid guys right there for Friday night and Saturday. And then there's some really good arms sitting there that have played other roles on this team. There's that transfer out of Duke that was one of the best players in the country his senior year. Really big left-handed kid. Now is that a guy that could come in and really solidify a 3-man rotation? I don't know. The unfortunate thing about baseball coverage, especially college, you just don't get a lot of it. So we don't really know what it's going to look like. I mean, we don't even know what the batting order is going to really look like. We can guess. We have. I think you look, and you talk about pitching, man. Having a dominant rotation and then having guys that can come out of the bullpen. We all saw in the College World Series what just a really solid, consistent pitching staff, the entire group of them could do for you. LSU won the College World Series, the championship series, without throwing their ace. And that's because they had other guys. They didn't have to. Pitching, really, really good pitching is always going to beat good offense. And I say that, and what I mean is, like, the offenses are so good today. These kids are such good. These kids that are playing Division I college baseball today have had so many at bats, man, and seen so many pitches. They're probably, and we're not big on hyperbole at all. I hate hyperbole, by the way, but I honestly feel like these kids today, by the time they get to D1 baseball, their experience level at the plate is probably better than a lot of guys that had a couple years in professional baseball, maybe just a decade or two ago. They play so much baseball today. The technology is just so much better. They have like these indoor freaking hitting facilities where, you're not just swinging a bat at balls. You're really getting a sense of what the ball is doing after you hit it. and they measure all this shit today. I mean, it's phenomenal. So the job for pitchers, much tougher than it used to be. The good news is there's a lot of good stuff those guys have as well. A lot of good technology they have. Yeah, so I am really, really excited about the start of college baseball. I keep singing like "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in my head. It just pops in my head every once in a while, and I just sing it in my head. I might just sing it out loud. You never know. Now, by the way, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," just a great song. And doesn't baseball just have some really great music? You got "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Everybody knows the words. Everybody can sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." The kids love it. You got that iconic organ music. They still play it at some parks. I don't know what it is about it. It's really cool to me. Some parks even still have a guy that sits at an organ and plays the damn organ. It's not a recording. I think at Wrigley Field they still do that. I just think that's cool. You got "Sweet Caroline" at a Red Sox game. If you have not had a chance, if you are a baseball person, you have to do two things. You have got to go to a game at Wrigley Field. Three things. You've got to go to a game at Wrigley Field. You've got to go to a game at Fenway Park in Boston. And you 100% have to get your ass to Omaha to watch game 1 through 8. It'll take you 4 days. They play 2 games a day. You get to see every single team play. What a fucking blast that is to go to Omaha. We've done it twice now. So much fun. The last time we went was in 2021. And we just went to the first 8 games. So we did not go back to watch Texas and Mississippi State battle it out. What a hell of a little bracket side playoff that was between Mississippi State and Texas. 2 really, really good teams. I think Texas was the second best team in the country at the end of the season in 2021. Whoever won that one was winning the College World Series. Coincidentally, that's what happened. But yeah, Wrigley Field is just freaking so old and so awesome. You got to go. You have to go. But back to these Red Sox thing. You know, I've been to 2 Red Sox games in Fenway now. I went several years ago when I was on a business trip. And then a couple summers ago, me and my wife went up there for a few days. She'd never been to Boston. I'd been just for business. So I guess you could say, you know, I technically hadn't been to Boston for any kind of pleasure stuff. So we went and just had a blast, man. We enjoyed the game. We went and did all kinds of great stuff. And that's a really cool city, by the way. I think it's the best city in America that I've been to. And I've been to the big ones. The only big one I have not been to, New York City. And honestly, man, I just have no desire to go do that. But anyway, Sweet Caroline at a Red Sox game, man. What a cool experience that is. And last summer when we went, we got to go to a Yankees and Red Sox game. We sat, is it Loge? Logbox? Loge. I don't know how you pronounce it. We sat literally on the other side of the walkway that separates the bottom, you know, the very lowest seats from the seats that we were in. We were on the front row of the log box, Loge box, whatever the hell it's called, right behind home plate for a Yankee and Red Sox game. That was a blast. And we are going back this August, taking the kids. That's going to be a good time. We will sing Sweet Caroline at a freaking Red Sox game in August again against the Texas Rangers. How fun is that going to be? We are Rangers fans. We were excited to see the Texas Rangers just kind of like surreally win the World Series. I think that's the best way to describe it. They surreally won the World Series last season. It was like a dream. One that you didn't. Nobody expected that, especially when all their pitching got hurt. Anyway, I digress. Take me out to the ball game, the organ music, Sweet Carolina to Boston Red Sox game. Guys, you got to do those things. You got to get to the College World Series. You have to. I'm telling you, if you got small kids, if you've got a young son or daughter that is interested in softball or baseball, make that a priority. Get to that. Go see it. Man, it is just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just fun, man. And your team doesn't even have to be in it for it to be just a really great time. Like I said, every time we've gone, we've watched the first 8 games. And it didn't matter that Texas did well, didn't do well. We just had a blast. First pitch tomorrow night, 7 p.m. against San Diego. They go Saturday at 2:30 p.m. They go Sunday at 1 p.m. all time Central. All games on Longhorn Network and the Longhorn Radio Network. And here's another thing, Texas fans, and even not Texas fans, if you have not listened to Craig Way call a baseball game on the Longhorn Radio Network, which, by the way, you can just go to the Texas Baseball website, click on the schedule, scroll down to the game for today, and click listen on the radio, and it'll just automatically start streaming to your phone, to your laptop, whatever. If you've not listened to Craig Way call a college baseball game, I won't say he's the best in the business simply because I have not listened to everybody else call a college baseball game. Craig Way is fucking phenomenal on the radio. Craig Way will make you see the game almost as good as if you had the game on the TV. That is how good Craig Way is. Craig Way spends 10 minutes before the first pitch making sure you visualize Texas is wearing this hat. They are wearing this jersey. They are wearing these pants. They are wearing these shoes. He does the same thing for the opponent. I mean, and then just his in-game calls. He's great. Please, if you get a chance to do that, if you're riding in the car during a Texas game, don't watch it. Don't watch it, man. Put Craig Way on the Longhorns Radio Network and listen to him call a game. If you hate it, I apologize, but I think you're weird if you do hate it. Texas football, let's talk about it. Exciting times for Texas football, man. Coming off of a playoff run, we got our coach, man. We spent a long time trying to find a guy that was our guy after Mac Brown, and we got him. There is no doubt in my mind that Steve Sarkisian is the guy. If there's a guy, he's the guy that's going to bring Texas back to what we all think Texas should be, what all Texas fans believe Texas football deserves and what we deserve. Steve Sarkisian is going to be that dude, if there is that dude. Coming off of a playoff appearance, first time Texas has been in the playoff, coming off a Big 12 championship, the first one since 2009. Good times for Texas football, and they just seem to just keep getting better. Season ticket renewals just went out a couple days ago. With that, the price went down of season tickets just a little bit, not a lot. Not even markedly. I mean, markedly for Texas, when you look at the income they'll be getting, but for the individual, not a big deal. But it's just cool that they're thinking about us. You know, Chris Del Conte said, we are not going to gouge Texas fans because we're in the SEC now and we got all these great games. We're actually making the price cheaper for season tickets, which I love that shit. So if you're a prior season ticket holder and you have not seen an email for that, make sure you go into your account. You have till March 14th at 5 p.m. to renew your season tickets. We talked about this a little bit earlier because there was a rumor swirling around about it. We talked about it a few, the last few weeks of the season. Grass is finally coming back to Darrell K. Royal in 2026. I don't know why they took it out. I assume it had something to do with money, maintenance. But it's coming back, and I'm all for it. The whole AstroTurf experiment, I think it just needs to be over. It's not good for the players. In fact, like the percentage of injuries that occur to joints due to the game being played on turf is like astronomical compared to on grass. Plus, the grass just looks better. So, grass is coming back to Darrell K. Royal. Chris Del Conte says, we're installing grab-and-go food and beverage at DKR this fall. Now, the first time I have seen grab-and-go beverage and food at a football game, a college football game, was actually at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Alabama. I don't know how many other people do it or did it last season or the seasons before, but I got to tell you this, it is a fucking game changer. I don't know why you could put 10 people in a grab-and-go line. They can get through that much faster than 10 people standing in a line with someone grabbing their shit and handing it to them and swiping their card and all this other bullshit. It is so much faster. It is so much more efficient. Game changer, baby. Like, do you know how many seconds we're going to not miss now of action because we're not standing in a fucking line behind Susie that can't get her debit card out? She's been standing in the fucking line for like 30 minutes now and somehow waits until it's literally time to pay to pull out her fucking money or her debit card. We don't have to do that anymore. I guess we do. But all the other stuff is so much faster. And let's be honest, Susie's going to go and stand in line. She's not evolved enough to like get in the grab and go portion of the concession. So it's purely for the evolved, such as myself. Now, last year at Darrell K. Royal, and we only went to one home game at Darrell K. Royal last year. Even though we got season tickets, we just live so far away, we can't make it. And plus, we went to a lot of road games. We went to Bama. We went to the Red River Shootout, which technically is not a road game, but it's not at Austin either. We went to the Sugar Bowl. We went to the Big 12 championship game. But we only spent one weekend in Austin for the season, and that was the Texas Tech game. And they had grab-and-go like drinks. Like you could get beers, seltzers, waters, things like that. Awesome. Awesome. The line was never long. Even at halftime, like even at times where the line should be long, there's not a long line at those carts, those spots, because it's so fast and so efficient. So kudos to Chris Del Conte. It wasn't his idea. I don't give a fuck. It was his idea to bring it into Darrell K. Royal and do it, and I'm all for it. Indoor practice facility gets started in June. Folks, this is going to be a state-of-the-art, full-size indoor field, completely covered, probably weight rooms and lounges and cafeterias and just all kinds of cool shit for these athletes at the University of Texas. A full-size outdoor field right next to it. All that's going to be put in right south of the stadium. So they get started on that in June. That'll be done by 2026 before that grass gets put in. New video board. I didn't even know there was anything wrong with the old video board, but Chris Del Conte says this old video board's gone, folks, and we're going to have a new video board for this season that supposedly, in his words, and I'm paraphrasing, as you walk up and see this video board from the outside of the stadium, like it is going to be impressive. What that means, I don't have a fucking clue. I think it's going to be so cool, at least in his eyes, that there's not even like a rendition of this thing. Like it's like kind of hush hush. Like usually they say, "Hey, we're doing this. Here's what it's going to look like." They're not doing that with the video board. So, man, is this thing going to be a fucking sphere like they got in Las Vegas? I don't know, but I'm excited about that. And you look at all the stuff they've done to the stadium just this last year or so. Man, the LED lights, that was cool as fuck with the LED show and the freaking drone show and all that stuff. Chris Del Conte has done and I've said this before, but I don't think you can say it enough. We used to be season ticket holders from 2005 to 2009, 2010, something like that. For sure, 2009. I can't remember if we had tickets in 2010 or not. But huge difference in the game experience. And I'm not saying that going to games back then wasn't a blast, because it absolutely was. But Chris Del Conte has taken this game day experience shit to like a whole new level. There are like concerts before the game and after the game. You got a goddamn carnival going up and down the street. You got food trucks everywhere right near the stadium. There's beer stands like every 2 feet outside the stadium. I mean, the team comes walking in, they bring Bevo out and he parades through that shit. The cheerleaders, the band. I mean, it is on a whole new level, especially, man, if you had a family, and I am sick to death that my kids couldn't experience this as kids. Man, what they got going on at the University of Texas at Darrell K. Royal before a college football game, it is an all-day thing, man. And that's, I mean, that doesn't even count the tailgating, which I'm not fond of anymore. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Not that I don't like to tailgate. I just don't think the way tailgating is today is cool at all. It's all commercial. All your shit's set up for you. Used to be like having a badass tailgate was like a thing, man. It brought dudes, it brought women, it brought just different people to talk to. Like, it was just fun to be a part of a really good tailgate. And now they're all the same. You don't get that anymore. It is what it is. So, again, Chris Del Conte, amazing job. They keep doing more and more every single year. The experience at Darrell K. Royal definitely has to be up there with any experience across the country. It has to be. And I've been to some places, man. And we're going to go up to Michigan in September, and we're going to see what they're all about. They're going to have a big SEC celebration this summer. I have no dates. I know there's a date. I don't have it. I'm excited about that. I mean, like I said, I live 5 hours away from I might consider going down there to check that out, depending on what that really means. As far as football goes, like the actual game of football, there's not a whole lot going on. Fall workouts, winter workouts. Colin Simmons supposedly gained 20 pounds in like 5 minutes. I don't know. All I do know is the roster at Texas is loaded. The coaching staff is good. I'm ready for spring football. I think it kicks off in like mid-March. Spring game in April. And then it'll just be let's wrap up this College World Series championship. Waste 2 months, and then we'll be footballing again, man. Life is a blur right now. Some random football takes, just some things going on in the world of just football. UCLA hires Deshaun Foster as their next head coach. First of all, you can't talk about this without talking about the fact that Chip Kelly stepped down as the head coach at UCLA to go be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. When I saw that on Twitter, I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a lie. That is the weirdest shit I have ever seen. Money aside, like, I don't know, man. Chip Kelly must have just got tired of having to be a head coach. That's the only thing that makes any sense there. And I know, like, UCLA is not a great job. I mean, honestly, being the offensive coordinator at Ohio State is probably better than being the head coach at UCLA. I can't recall seeing another move like this. Help me out if you can. I can't. So Chip Kelly bounces. You don't hear nothing for like weeks. And then all of a sudden it's Deshaun Foster, a guy that's never even been a coordinator anywhere. I mean, like, is UCLA just giving up? Like, I mean, is it like they're just accepting their fate? They're just accepting the fact that they're going to get absolutely skull drug in the big. Weirdest, what has happened to the Pac-12 and the teams of the Pac-12? Like, what is going on? Like, Cal, like, are they even going to have a team anymore? And then they couldn't get anybody better than Deshaun Foster. I mean, maybe Deshaun Foster does a great job. I don't know. I just, like, if you're an athletic director, are they like all trying to figure out how they can all get fired the fastest? Like, what is going on in Pac-12 legacy land? I don't know, man. Travis Kelce, Andy Reid incident during the Super Bowl. There's been a lot of discussion about this. For those of you that don't know, I don't know all the details. Obviously, I wasn't there. But we see on the screen, Travis Kelce just kind of tries to railroad Andy Reid. Like, gets physical with him, pushes him to the point where Andy Reid stumbles. And Andy Reid's a big old dude. Like, you got to get into him pretty good, I would imagine, to get him moving. And then he gets right in his face and fucking screaming in his face. And so there was like kind of two, with everything, there's like two different reactions. There's the oh, you don't know, like they're cool, that's just their relationship reaction. And then there was the reaction of like, and I don't know which one had more. I don't know that it matters. But then there was like there ain't no fucking way I would put up with that shit. And that's what I said initially. Like, if I was Andy Reid and Travis Kelce did that to me, like, he's not playing anymore today. Y'all can say what y'all want. They're adults, all this other bullshit. But that was like as disrespectful as you could possibly be to a coach. And then so people were like, well, why does it matter? Why do you care? They're not, that's the next thing. And I even saw the Kelce brothers talking about it. And I don't listen to those dudes. I saw a clip of it on TikTok. It's the brother, it's just crazy to me that all these people that aren't involved in it have all these things to say about it. I don't understand why it matters, what your relationship is and da-da-da. Well, the reason it matters is because a bunch of fucking kids watched a guy that, right or wrong, has kind of become one of the bigger faces in the NFL this season, scream at his coach and push him on the sidelines. And that's why it matters. Like, I don't care that Andy Reid didn't feel disrespected by that, which there's no fucking way he actually didn't feel disrespected. Winning the Super Bowl will make you let a lot of shit that you shouldn't let go. You're just going to let it go. Because what's the sense, right? You're the Super Bowl champs, like, enjoy that shit. And I'm certainly not saying, like, Andy Reid should have come out after the Super Bowl and made a big fucking deal about it. But all these people that keep holding on to, well, Andy Reid said he's not saying anything different. So that's like a dumb argument in the first place. Secondly, even if that's how he really feels, I don't give a damn. I don't base what's disrespectful off of the way certain people take things or don't take things. People put up with shit all the time that they shouldn't put up with. That doesn't mean that what happened to them is not disrespectful. There is no planet, there is no incident where screaming in a head coach's face is not disrespectful. I don't give a fuck if they're 2 years old or 52 years old, grown men or little kids or not. You do not scream. You don't scream in anybody's face. Like, I mean, just the act of screaming in somebody's face is disrespectful. So you guys can miss me with this whole, oh, that's just their relationship and they're grown men. No, that's fine. Like, I don't care what their relationship is. Like, a bunch of kids saw that, and now there's a bunch of kids that think that's okay. And that is not okay. I'll tell you what. And I asked the guy this. I saw him post some stuff on Facebook about it, and we kind of got into a little discussion about it on Facebook. And I know he's got sons. And I asked him, I said, what would you think that was okay if your sons did that to one of their coaches? And these are all like athletic kids. They're all heavily involved in sports. Good kids, good family. What would you do? Would you think it's okay if you saw your son react to their head coach that way? And he didn't really answer the question because he knows damn well. I don't know this guy great. I just have a feeling that this guy would not put up with that shit if his kids did that. I'm almost 100% sure he's a coach that he would not put up with one of his athletes or one of his players doing that to him either. Which is why he kind of fell back to they're adults thing, which again, I don't care. I think the fact that they're adults makes it worse. Adults should have self-control. And again, it's an emotional game. I understand that. I played. I get that football's an emotional game, but you know what? Like, and there's nothing wrong with being emotional. We all feel emotions all the time. It's how you handle those things, right? Like, I think a big part of respecting someone is when you're super fucking pissed at them, you don't fly off the handle and hit them in the face. You don't fly off the handle and call them a bunch of names. You don't fly off the handle and yell in their face. That's a small piece of respecting somebody, is regardless of how you feel, you know it's not right to do those things to them, and you overcome your emotions. So to me, that's why it matters that Travis Kelce did that on fucking TV. And that's why it matters that, Andy Reid just kind of brushed it off. Is because every single time you let something like that go and you say, oh, it's just because of this, you give everybody else on the planet an excuse to just do that. And as a society, we have gotten really fucking disrespectful towards each other. And me personally, like courtesy for people, just some common courtesy for people, and disrespect are like the two biggest things that piss me off. Like, just not having common courtesy for people and disrespecting people. Like, you want to see me go 0 to 100 pissed off? Let those things happen around me. I just don't like it. And maybe I'm an old dude. Maybe I'm a fuddy-duddy. I don't fucking know. I just don't think there's anything entertainment value or anything of any value of not speaking out against that act and saying that's bullshit. I'm going to digress. I think the other big news was the shooting at the parade. We're starting to learn more information about all that every second. At first, everybody thought it was a mass, a targeted type deal. It does not seem, at this point at least, that that's the case. What it sounds like now is a bunch of dudes got in a shootout with each other. And sadly, a lot of people that were just there to watch the Chiefs parade thing were caught in the middle of that shit. I think one's dead, several other injured, a few in pretty critical condition. A lot of them kids, which is just fucking terrible. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into a big political thing. You're going to have people that say take all the guns. You're going to have people that no, it's my Second Amendment right. Man, it's just a fucking shame that like people can't act right. I don't understand. Again, that goes back to courtesy and respect to me. Like I just don't understand. Like if you two fucking knuckleheads want to go get in a shootout, why didn't y'all go just find like an alley somewhere and fucking duel it out at dawn like some real men instead of going out and taking your bullshit into a crowd and shooting up a bunch of fucking people just trying to see a goddamn parade with their kids. I mean, I don't get it. So those folks, and you don't know, I mean, they arrested some people, like 3 people, some juvenile, 1 adult. we likely won't know more for a while. If whoever did this shit and they catch them, man, I hope they fucking put them under the prison. I am so sick of I don't know, man. We need to bring back I ain't even gonna say that. I just feel like our whole system is goofy, man. We just do shit backwards. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about it because that shit pisses me off. Next week we'll have some Hardwood Horns. I might take this shit to 2 days, two shows a week. Since we got baseball now, we got something to talk about. We will definitely talk about these Hardwood Horns. We're talking about the baseball series with San Diego that's about to kick off tomorrow evening. Check out the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. Please follow and subscribe. Won't cost you guys a thing. We sure would appreciate the support. You can email me at horntakespodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms. I love them all. You guys have a good weekend. Get hooked.